and welcome to what's become of Sonus Aetheria. I'd mentioned before that I'd be changing it into a different sort of game and bringing it back to what it originally was, but I didn't want to throw away some of the interesting concepts that it's currently using, so I decided to change it into something completely different, which is what we have before us. It's becoming an action RPG called Skykeeper. The idea behind it is to have a completely open-ended build-your-own-story type thing, in which each one of your decisions and actions that you do can affect how things play out at the end. You can go along with the main storyline, or just sort of choose your own path and follow whoever you wish, including the bad guy if you want to. So before I get started on anything, it might be good to tell exactly what's going on in the world. To put the lore in a nutshell, the sky and the world around you are kept alive by the current Skykeeper. While the role of Skykeeper is managed by a single entity, there are 3 others who cycle through periodically, similar to the Zodiac, although it's not on a yearly basis, it's more like a millennium basis. Each one of them have their own personality, which kind of dictates how they run things and sort of the way the world feels when they're keeping the sky. The player's title is that of a star catcher. You're basically like a little local wizard or sorcerer who goes around just helping people out, but your real job is to, catch stars and bring them to the keeper. A star looks like a shooting star when it falls from the sky, but whenever it hits the ground, it turns into like this ethereal beast. And each one of them will be different. You'll have to fight some of them you'll have to talk to, or solve a riddle, or bring something to in order to get them to succumb to your will. And you basically just absorb them, and you have this big halo marker thing that's on you, and certain things happen or don't happen whenever you have a star on your person, and it's just sort of the gameplay dynamic. You're bringing things to somebody and doing stuff in the meantime. For the most part, the game takes place under the reign of Shadun, the dragon in the sky. His world has warm groves of flowers and a very magical and ethereal atmosphere. Just to his right in this image, we have Cleric, Lady of Fire, who has warm sunlit lands and beautiful moonlit nights. Just to her right is Seveli, Man of the Woods, and he specializes in deep green forest and beautiful starlit nights. And just a little bit further to the right is Shagra, Mistress of the Wind, and she specializes in lush grasslands and beautiful auroras in the sky. Unfortunately, one of these characters has been very naughty, and has sort of vilified themselves amongst the ranks of the other keepers, and got themselves kicked out. I'll leave it up to you guys to take a guess on who is the one who got kicked out, because I don't really want to divulge too much of the story right now, because it's actually pretty interesting. But I will divulge some of the new visuals I've been creating, which look much, much nicer than Sonus Aetheria, and are actually better performance in the end because I reduced poly counts on the trunks of the trees, which were stupid. But we'll get into that in just a moment. Okay, so this is the scene that we were just in, the intro to the thing. The intro is a built-in feature here. If I look up, you can see it. I'm not going to hit the button because it is the whole thing. But this is sort of like where I was testing the general feel to the coastlines in Skykeeper, because I'm going for this sort of eco-punk thing with, big windmills and stuff like that, but, nature all around. You notice the grass is pretty much the same as what I had in Sonus Aetheria, but I did go in and tweak the shader a little bit so it looks more soft and touchable. It's really mostly just stuff done with the subsurface scattering. I've also built this cute little house just to sort of test things. There's something very wrong with the texture in the roof. It's missing an area unless I get close to it, and I haven't been able to fix that yet. Solution would be just build a better house. But this one was to test the way that I'm doing my textures, which is masking the areas of the house, then using tileable normal maps to create the texture on the surface. This is actually just a color. I'm not 100% sure if the performance is the same using an actual texture or normal mapping it and just using a color, but it looks nice. It's unique. Got a little bit of shine on the base of this thing with its ridiculous hitbox. Yeah, all the way. Oh, there. It's massive. I need to fix that. I've also made some rocks. Very nice rocks. Excellent rocks. Still got the depth of field, but I have modified it a little bit so I can zoom. And then autofocus out of it. It's very photogenic. You can reset it by clicking out of it. So you end up with some excellent, macro shots of rock and grass. I've been having lots of fun with it. It's been so nice so far. The trees, as you can see in the background, I'll get to in just a little bit. I've done some stuff to them. I'll show you in another map that I've made. The house, you can go inside. It is actually loading in a separate level. I'm streaming the inside of the house, even though it is extremely barren and tiny. Because I imagine if you had like 20 of these, like in a small town, with all of the stuff inside of them, it would get pretty hard on resources. So, the inside of the house is only loaded when you're inside. But you can see outside, which is nice, so it actually feels like you're in there, even though the windows are black. And I know the door goes up to the ceiling, and it shouldn't, but I don't care. Whenever you hit the button, it just puts you on the other side of the door, and unloads the inside of it. I can't really glitch the camera inside to see, but trust me, there's nothing in this house. I've spent a lot of time on this water shader. Yeah, I have a run button now, too. Yeah! And I can... what is it? My gun. Yeah, I haven't figured out how to make the depth of field ignore the gun, so it's blurry because it's close to me. Fun. But yeah, I spent a lot of time on the water shader to get this sort of foam thing. It still doesn't look quite right, but I can't spend... it's not Sea of Thieves. I'm not going to spend all of my time on the water shader. It'll be fine. See, look, you can go under it, and it's all like shiny and weird and stuff, and doesn't do the foggy thing. I do have a map that does do that, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Some of my rocks, I've found that if you make... these are only 2 rocks, and I've just flipped them over and made them upside down, which has given me excellent results. This rock's texture is a little bit small. I might need to make these rocks a little bigger, but it'll be fine. They look great. I mean, better than the asteroids stolen from Argus. So we can go more into the what I want out of the water shader by opening the level. Ah, yes. So this is the original test map for water, where I just put some objects down and made some landscape. It's the same thing, but whenever you go under it, it switches out into the high-depth fog. It's a little bit like... I don't know, using the exponential height fog for water is probably not a good idea. It looks a little bit grainy, like smoke, like atmospheric fog, whereas water has a different thing going on. And I'm going to have to figure out how to do that, but it'll be fine. So yeah, water. The big test that I've been running with is the Wandering Woods. Oops. No spaces. Which has been a really excellent looking thing. If I make it sort of daytime, I'm using the same sunlight thing from Sonus Aetheria, because most of the stuff was originally just taken from it. But now we have actual leaves on the trees with screwed up hitboxes so they'll catch you, but the depth of field works on them. The... oh, what is this? This is a willow here. Kind of looks a little bit screwed up. I might need to fix the texture on these leaves. But the birch and pine trees look excellent. Oh yeah, ferns. Ferns are excellent. Very nice, photogenic. I have endless fun with this depth of field because it looks so nice to focus through it. And yeah, there's some screwed up texturing stuff. It'll be fine, but the reason why it's called the Wandering, not Wondering, is because of some of the magic that happens in it. This was one of the big areas that I wanted to test and test performance in, because I didn't know exactly how I was going to make it work. Yeah, we got the aspen trees in here. It turns out I just used the birch leaves for them because, ooh, that was a nasty hitch. Because aspen and birch are like the same tree, it turns out. But that's beside the point. We got fireflies now, because we've entered the magic zone. Very fond of these. The ferns are really big, like much overscale for real life, because I mean ferns are non-vascular plants, they can't get that big. But this is magic. It'll be fine. Oh yeah, who likes motion blur? You want to get sick? Yeah, I'll make that turn offable in the future. Ooh, we have some frame rate hitching. Curious. Yeah, there's certain things I've been trying to get fixed on here with performance. Like random stuff will give me hitches. Yeah, it only does it whenever I look around. Weird. I could probably make the particle field on the fireflies a little bit better. But the reason why this is called the Wandering Woods is because that hitch was from walking in. Because if I hit G, all I have left is the big mother pine tree in the center of the woods. Which you can see I have a... Come on, give me my... nice handmade pine things. It's kind of cheesy textures, but I'm kind of liking them. It's got an art style to it. Don't judge me. But yeah, whenever you walk in, it... whoa. Puts the trees back. And if you notice, every time, it's different. So the triggers are set up to put you in and out of these trees whenever you go in and out of the areas. Very nice. And, yeah, it's really, I'm testing the performance of the area because as you can see, it's mostly fine, but it starts to get kind of spoopy. I'm not 100% sure why, because these trees have a really low call distance. Man, that looks great. But it's just testing. It'll be fine in the end. Yeah, I do get lost in here really easily. Around here somewhere is the exit. I want to say it's like... not there. It's going to be over here. Yeah, I'm going to call it over here. It is turning nighttime, which I have tweaked just a little bit. With the dropping of the exposure and then making it all blue. Nighttime looks really excellent. Really stoked about how that looks. The subsurface scattering does get a little bit glowy, which is strange. You can see how dark the ground is. And the grass sort of sticks way out, and it's really hard to make it dark. I don't know how to fix that. I don't think you can fix it. I'm not going to worry about it, because you don't need it to be pitch black at night. And there's our saturation. Good morning, we got bloom in the sun. I need to fix the hitboxes on the trees because they're still a little bit whack. Because I can get stuck in them. But in the event of, let's see if I can get stuck in a tree. I can pop out of it. Because I've just been playing with effects like teleport. Oh, I teleported myself into the tree. And back out again. For instance, if I was testing the low health visual effect, which, as your health goes down, everything gets more black and white. Unfortunately, there's nothing red around here except for my crosshair, but red things are immune to this. So, like, blood and other stuff like that show through. Watch me walk. I probably walked all the way back to the beginning. Yep, I did. Because rocks. I like them very much. But yeah, on the other end of the Wandering Woods is just another area like this with that house in it, and that takes you to the coastline. So yeah, I've pretty much just been redoing all of my assets, testing performance, and that kind of thing. It all looks really nice. I'm kind of keeping this art style. I need to make some shorter grass because this is like almost chest height. And like these ferns are in your face, so everything's a little bit overscale, although I could say I've got a really tiny player character, but not gonna do that. Yeah, sometimes it gets really unhappy in the console when I start mashing G and 5 over and over again because it can't find something. Yeah, so that might be the reason why the performance is whack, is because it's looking for an object that's not existing, because I had to redo all of these trees. And I gotta redo them again, like this spoopy frame rate needs to be fixed. I mean, it's a little dense, and my god, it's really dense in here. So I might turn down the level of the trees, or I mean, I can just like, what is it? View distance scale, like put it at 0.5. .25. Yeah, there we go. That's rock solid. And in the distance, you can see the stuff is sort of fading in as we go. I mean, that's sort of actually a pretty okay effect. It's just not really what I wanted, you know? So it might have something to do with bad LODs. Because the trees do have them, but I really need to work on my LOD stuff. But it's a work in progress, and it's looking pretty nice. So I'm going to leave it off here and get back with another update once I have more things done. Bye.